think it should have already been out there. Like, it shouldn't be a law.
Right.
It should not be something that you have to put in through the courts. It should be already out there like normal.
Right. I agree. I mean, it's just been a lot since what, Friday, I think.
It's too much.
It's been a lot. I'm like, wow, it's just a lot. That's a lot for to go on, and it's just still going on. And like, it's not
the
dying
15
down.
minutes is over.
Right. Okay. It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably gonna go on for the next week.
Right.
But yes, also today, Apple actually launched their music things, like how iTunes has something. Apple now has it today. It's in history because they also, what they're doing, they're saying is Apple, you get the first month, 3 months free.
Okay.
Whatever you don't use, whatever downloader you don't use, it rolls over to the next month. And then after your 3 months, if you don't want it, you don't have to keep it. So I mean, like, it's a win-lose like situation. You're not winning or losing. So if you're getting it free for 3 months,
Apple is so expensive. They need to be giving some stuff away.
Yeah, because them phones $700-800. I mean, yeah, they got Apple watches that are like $10,000.
That's why I gave. No offense, Apple lovers, but that's why I gave up my iPhone because
it's a lot with iPhone.
Yeah.
I don't even want to discuss it.
Kudos to you guys for giving some free stuff.
Yeah, they are doing that. So
yeah.
I mean, that is a big thing that's happening today too. That Apple Music, and I was like, I might have to try it out because if you're getting free, and it's just a lot of free perks with it.
You got an iPhone? Okay, well it's beneficial to you, so that's good.
Yeah, I've been having iPhones for a long time. I'm on the edge of really going to a Galaxy. So today we're just going to be talking to you about. You want to give them a little bit about what you're talking about?
Well, I wanted to talk about basically being a parent of a sick child. Not anymore, but it was rough. It was rough. My son, he's 12 now, going through cancer when he was 2 years old. So that was pretty hard, but that's basically what we're going to talk about today.
Okay.
So back in 2005, January, is when we got the news. But God, God is good.
Yes, He is.
He is awesome. So him and his big brother was back in the room, and all of a sudden my 2-year-old at the time ran out crying, and then my 8-year-old son at the time came out and said, I hit him, I had to hit him because he hit me in the head with a plastic bat. And I was like, what? Of course I'm looking at my 2-year-old holding his arm and screaming, and it was just like, what happened? Like, what's going on? He said he hit me in the head with a plastic bat. And I was like, well, what happened? What did you do to him? He said, I had to hit him. Of course that's a natural reaction, but he hit him in his arm, his upper left arm. And so for a couple of hours I watched it, to make sure that it wasn't broken or anything like that. But when you see your child, 2 years old, wanting to be picked up and only using one of his arms to reach up to you, that was a concern for me.
Right.
So I was like, oh my goodness, something must be going on, So I rushed him to the hospital. And the doctor there at Wisher, she said, let me go ahead and get x-ray done, just in case. So she took him back, got an x-ray, came back, and she said, I need you to brace yourself for what I'm about to tell you. And I was like, what, his arm is broke? Like, is it a fracture or what's going on? She said, I seen a mass on the x-ray. And I said, a mass? At this time, I'm young, I only had one child, and I'm like, I don't know what that means. Explain. So she told me that her husband was a doctor at Riley, a cancer doctor, and that he brings his x-rays home, and she knows what to look for. And so by that time, my stomach is churning. It's just like bothering me. I'm like, what is going on? Like, what are you telling me? And so she had told me that it looked like cancer, and that she wanted to get him over to Riley Hospital. And my initial reaction was to scream. I just screamed, like, I didn't know what else to do.
Right.
But in that moment, I calmed myself down, and I looked up to God, and I said, you know what, God, he's your child before he's mine. So do what you need to do. I'm giving him back to you. So pretty much he went over to Riley Hospital. They started him on chemo immediately. So like 2 or 3 days after we found out he had cancer, they started him on chemo, 3 different type of aggressive chemo for a 2-year-old. Just watching your child go through that, and blood transfusions and plasma transfusions, and throwing up, not normal throw up. This is that medicine throw up. It was awful.
Right.
It was awful. But at the same time, I had to continue to work because I had another child at home. My husband recently, 2 days before we found out he had cancer, he recently lost his job. So it was almost like God was setting us up to prepare for this journey that we was going through with him. Because I had just got a promotion enough to take care of the family. Yeah. And so I was like, well, you know what? Since you lost your job, don't rush to get another job. Stay at home. Right. I'll work. I'll support. And that's what I did. I continued to go to church. I drove from my church out of town. During this time, it was hard because every time I would leave my child, I'm thinking about him, but I had a job to do, not only for my financial job, but for God too, for my church. So, but my husband was there when I wasn't. Right. But we basically lived at Riley Hospital. Thank you, Riley Hospital. Appreciate you. That was our second home, our extended family for a year. Wow. And they took care of my son, and we thank God for them. And he is now 10 years in remission.
Wow, and, that's a blessing.
Oh yeah, and we've gotten so much from this. Of course, I would take it all back for him not to go through this because he has disabilities that came with the chemo and the surgery taken out. He had bone cancer, osteosarcoma, they form in the long bones, so either your leg or your arm. So April of 2005, they removed the bone in his arm and took the left smaller bone in his leg and put it up there. But with him being 2 years old, even though they had a cast on it and a metal plate in there, when he was 4 years old, he was wrestling with one of his cousins, and he ended up breaking. Oh my gosh. So now they said they're going to wait until he slows down and growing before they go in and mess with any of the joints or whatever. As long as he's able to use his forearm and his hand, they want to leave it alone. They want to cut it off and make it prosthetic, So so he's been living with that broken arm for about 8 years now. Wow. And he can twist it. He done made people sick looking at him. People the police officers, he do a trick and fold his arm back and they, Right, yeah. So, he's having fun with it, Wow. But, this is something that he's only known, all his life. Yeah, because that's when you start gathering everything. And so he's lost some hearing. He's gaining it back slowly but surely. They said it'll be 100% for the rest of his life, but in his right ear, he's gaining his hearing back. His left ear, yes, his left ear. So he didn't have any hearing in either one of his ears at one time? Well, it was 60% in his left and 40% in his right.
Oh, wow.
So they say it 100%.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But in his right ear, he can hear a lot better, like 90% better. But his left ear is he's still deaf, and he wears a hearing aid. But
So
you
he
know.
can, like, when you first found out, he could hear you, but not as good as like me and you hearing each other
Right,
right now.
he hear it like a 2-year-old, you know.
Okay.
So when he speaks, he does not form his words like the high pitches, the high pitched words like ch. He say sh, you know, because he can't, you know. But he is. I mean, you can't tell when you have a conversation with him. You can understand everything that he's saying. Thank God, you know, he heard us enough when he was 2 years old before the chemo attacked his hearing. But yeah, I mean, to me, he's a normal child. I mean, he plays football. He knows how to hit a baseball. I mean, he run. I mean, he's fast. He's a runner. I mean, he's my hero.
Right.
I mean, he done conquered a lot, and
Right.
if he can do it, I mean, anybody can do it. You know, he done made it. Yeah.
Yeah. So now he's 12.
He's 12. He'll be 13 in September.
Okay. Okay. Now, so he doesn't. Does he ever say he remembers any of this happening to him, or?
No. No, he doesn't bring that up. He kind of like nobody at his school, none of his classmates or anything. He don't tell nobody. His teachers and everything know, because we have case conferences and stuff to make sure that he's getting everything that he needs for his hearing, and that he can't do regular stuff like other kids. So, so the kids don't know. He try to hide that. He don't like to show his arm because, of course, it'll be obvious. They'll be like, "What is that?" You know. But when he feels comfortable, you know, like we went swimming not too long ago, and this little boy and him connected. It was a stranger, and he connected with him, and they was in the pool, and of course he don't have no shirt on. So the little boy was like, "What happened to your arm?" He was like, he flipped it, like he can swing his arm, and he flipped it back, and the little boy ran out, like he got up, and my son, he loves doing that, so he was just cracking up and chasing him. You know, like, I'm like, stop doing that. You can't do that to people. So he gets a kick out of doing stuff like that. But his classmates and of course the little girls now, he wants to hide.
Right, exactly.
Hide that.
He's getting ready to be that teenage years.
Yeah. Yeah, but he's an awesome child. I mean, love him to death.
Okay, so does he still have to do like any testing normally, like so often?
Once a year he goes in for a hearing, just to see his progress and in his ears, and that's how we found out that his right ear was getting better. As far as his arm is concerned, I think it's every 3 years now he goes and get an X-ray to see if anything came back. He gets it in his chest and his arm. Because they said with osteosarcoma, the first place the cancer come back is in your chest and your lungs.
Okay.
So of course I'm on top of every appointment.
And that's once a year for that too?
That's every 3 years now.
Oh, every 3 years now?
It was once a year, but it's every 3 years now because he's so far out. They saying that, 99% chance that he would never have cancer again, but once you have cancer, it could come back in different places. So.
Yeah. Okay. So he's pretty brave about it and everything.
Oh yeah, I mean he's used to it. And like I said, there's a lot of perks that come with him going through what he has gone through. I mean we hooked up with the Indiana Children's Wish Fund. Shout out to Terry Hudson, love her to death, and the whole Indiana Children's Wish Fund family. They have really took us in and adopted us. They fell in love with Derek the moment they saw him. I mean, here he is, a little redhead boy, just as chubby as he can be. And they just loved him, and they still love him. I mean, Robert Mathis, that's his buddy. I mean, every time we see Robert Mathis, he's, where's little D at? So that's like his best friend. And we recently had an event at the baseball field, what is that, Victory Field. Every year we do that with the Indiana Children's Wish Fund, and they invite Derek and some other kids out on the field. And this year Derek didn't he wasn't supposed to be out on the field, but because Robert Mathis and him are good friends, since he did a commercial with Robert Mathis,
Right.
For this event. He was the first child to do this event. So him and the little girl did this commercial, and the little girl didn't make it. So her name was Caroline. Shout out to Caroline. So this event was named after her. But Derek did make it. And so him and Robert Mathis created this bond. And so when Robert Mathis saw Derek, he was like, D, you want to come down here on the field? And he kidnapped my son for the rest of the event. I mean, like, he was in the dugout hanging out with all the Pacers and Colts and TV personalities. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing. And then we just recently went to Florida over the past week, and we went back to Give Kids the World Village. Shout out to them. They are absolutely wonderful when it comes to sick children. They treat them like kings and queens. And so even if you have already been there, they welcome you back.
And
so
what's the name of it again?
Give Kids the World Village.
Okay.
In Florida, Kissimmee.
Okay.
So they welcomed us back. That's what they called us, welcome back family. And they treated us like royalty. I mean, we were able to come in and eat for free and go to the 24-hour ice cream parlor that they had and enjoy all the amenities. I mean, there's, like I said, there's a lot of perks.
Right.
Of course, I would trade it,
Right, exactly.
for my son's health, but because he did have to go through this, he was a soldier. God, allowed him to, I guess, go through this,
right.
To show his strength and his faith. We have gained a lot of friends, and had a lot of opportunities through this. So I thank God that he made it through, and that we were able to continue on this journey. And it's been almost 11 years now. So.
Okay, good. So when you were going through this, who would you say was your biggest supporters?
I would say my family. Definitely my family, my church at the time. The pastor and first lady wasn't able to come out, but they sent the assistant pastor and assistant first lady, and they came out. But basically my family was there, and whenever I was not able to be at the hospital, or my husband wasn't able to be, which was very seldom, my sister stepped in, my mom stepped in. We just all came together and took care of him, and not that we had to do too much, because being two, he was very resilient. I mean, like, he bounced back when they gave him his blood transfusion. It was like he was a new child running around and caressing the nurse's breast and oh yeah, he was always into girls, still is. So, but yeah, we definitely had a support team. The hospital, the Indiana Children's Wish Fund. I mean, we just all collectively.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful to have that good support system as a family.
Absolutely,
yes.
Absolutely.
Family's number one.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So what about when? So you said this whole process was about a year?
Yeah, it was the end of January is when we found out, like January 27th or the 25th, somewhere around there. And then November 14th was his last chemo.
Okay.
Of 2005. So yeah, basically a whole year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when it comes time for testing to check for cancer, at that time, do you ever get scared? Do you get anxiety and everything?
Absolutely,
or?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, I have faith that, that he's okay. I mean, but, you always get that little, butterfly in your stomach saying that, if he's not, you have to prepare for it. You have to, make sure that you are, you put that mask on for your child, so he's not scared. And with him being older, he knows that cancer's nothing to play with. I mean, we just recently found out that my stepson had lymphoma, so it's it's just really cancer is nothing to play with.
No, it's not. It's a serious thing, and it's like it's almost like a common cold anymore.
Absolutely.
Everybody goes to the doctor just to get a checkup or a flu shot, and they come out
find out there's something else.
Yeah, because you can now go to the hospital and say, I want to get thoroughly checked, and you get thoroughly checked, and this is what you've been living with for God knows how long.
I mean, it's crazy. That's why you have to make sure that you are eating right and exercising. Just take care of yourself. I mean, I know the foods out here are good and tasty, but they're not good for you.
Right.
And a lot of that stuff, and I've seen on YouTube and Facebook, a lot of that stuff, you know, that they put in these foods is causing us to be sick.
Exactly.
And, you know, I'm not saying that that's why my son got sick, because he was breastfed up until he was a year and a half, you know, so, you know, and all he allowed me to eat when I was pregnant was steak and potatoes. So, I mean, I guess if steak and potatoes was bad, you know, then, you know, that's what happened. But I don't think that the food came from him having cancer. I think we all are born with some type of cancer inside of us. It just takes something to trigger it, you know, and that's what happened. You know, my older son hit him in the arm, and, you know, he could have lived with that cancer up until he was 20 years old before he got injured.
Right,
you know?
exactly.
Because they said he was the youngest at Riley Hospital with that type of cancer. They was like, we don't usually see this in a 2-year-old.
Right, exactly.
It's usually in 14 to 20 when they playing sports and they get hurt. But yeah, so I think something has to trigger the cancer, and that's what normally happens. So.
Okay. Now you say you had when he was 2, you had an older son. Now how did this affect him? How older was he at the time?
He was 6 years older, so he was 8 at the time, and you know, he didn't know no better. He was just like, my brother's sick, you know, like, you know, what's wrong with him? Is he gonna die? You know, the normal questions that a 8-year-old would ask, and, you know, we had to reassure him that it wasn't your fault. He's not gonna die. He's gonna be fine. We thank you, because if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be here, you know, getting him the help that he needs, you know. And so he kind of, you know, took on the role of big brother, and a lot of stuff that he is doing right now is for his little brother. The first couple of years in high school, he wasn't really focusing on his grades and all of that. He was just, you know, a laid back, kind of lazy mentality. But when I talked to him, I told him, look, your brother will never be able to play football, and he loves football. So do this for him. Get your act together. You know, work on your schoolwork. Get that straight, so you can play football and play for him. And that's what he did. Thank God he listened, and and his heart was, you know, big enough to say, hey, I gotta buckle down, I gotta do what I gotta do. And Ben Davis took it all the way to state championship, won, and now he's accepted to Indiana State University, and
that's awesome.
I mean, he's good.
So it's going to, your oldest is going to college this fall.
Yes, and he'll be playing football there, and he's going to continue doing this for his little brother.
That's good. That is really good. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Absolutely. I'm proud of him. Proud mom.
Yes. I mean, you have a lot to be proud about, because there's a lot of parents out there, their kids don't get to make it. Yeah. Unfortunately, and it's very sad. So yes, that is, I mean, yes, look at your child every day and see him and just know that he went through that, and to know that he was there where some people as adults are right now. Yeah, and they don't even make it. Yeah. You know? It's hard. It's hard. It's hard. It's very hard. Cancer is one of those things. I think my cousin said some things on Facebook today. He said F cancer, because honestly, it's just like, you know, it's just horrible. It's a horrible thing. Yeah, it is. I mean, you definitely have to have God on your side and strength to live. And as a 2-year-old, you know, he's not feeling sorry for himself. You know, he wasn't down and out. You know, he wanted to live, you know. I mean, what else do you do at 2 years old? You want to play, you know. Just play, and you're learning everything at that age. Yeah, so just learning. And that's what he did. And with the support of our family, I mean, he made it through. We made it through as a family, and you know, we taking each day as it comes, and enjoying life, and thanking God every day. Right, exactly, because that is a blessing. That is a blessing in itself. And yes, that is just a blessing. I just brings me chills. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming to the show. Is there anything else you want to share with the people? Any inspirational words for parents that are out there that's going through this, people that are going through it, brothers, sisters, aunties, uncles, like anything that you could tell them that would help them,
Yeah.
like what you went through?
Yeah, I would just say, just continue to, support your loved one. Continue to love them, encourage them, let them know that they can get through this. If they know they have something to live for, then they're gonna fight. And that's exactly what we did. And like I said, at 2 years old, that's all he knew was to get up in the morning and play and everything. It was mainly it took a toll on me and my husband because we had to see our child going through this.
Exactly.
But we kept each other up, and we knew we had another child to take care of. And you just fight. You just go every day and just give it to God and let Him fight your battles. You'll get through it. It gets easier, and you'll get through it.
Well, thank you so much, Yolanda.
Thank
This
you.
was awesome to have you here. We're honored to have you here today. Thank you guys for joining us. That is our time. Just follow us on YouTube. We have YouTube, Atmosphere and Conversation, Instagram, atmosphere.conversation, on Twitter, atmosphere.convo, and Facebook, Atmosphere and Conversation. Follow us and watch us. Thank you so much for joining, guys. Have a great day.